In the vast tapestry of human history, religions have shaped civilizations, guided moral compasses, and offered solace in times of despair. Gods and deities have been worshipped across cultures, figures of immense power, omnipresence, and mystery. Yet, among the myriad of beliefs that span our world, there exists a tradition that does not seek the divine in the heavens, but within the depths of our own consciousness. This is Buddhism, a path that invites followers not to worship a god, but to understand the nature of their own minds. But why? Why do Buddhists, with their deep spiritual practices, choose a path that doesn't involve a deity? The answer lies in a profound journey that began over 2,500 years ago. Our story begins in the kingdom of Kapilavastu, where a young prince was born into luxury, shielded from the harsh realities of the world. This prince was Siddhartha Gautama, the man who would one day become the Buddha. His father, the king, believed that by surrounding Siddhartha with comfort and pleasure, he could ensure his son would never want to leave the palace walls. But despite his father's efforts, Siddhartha's heart was restless. He sensed that the world held more than just the pleasures of the palace. His curiosity led him to venture beyond the walls, and what he encountered changed the course of his life and the spiritual direction of millions. For the first time, Siddhartha confronted the reality of aging, sickness, and death, universal truths that spared no one, not even a prince. But then, he saw a renunciant, a man who had given up worldly possessions in search of a higher truth. This encounter sparked a burning question within Siddhartha. What is the nature of suffering, and is there a way to overcome it? Determined to find answers, Siddhartha renounced his royal life and embarked on a quest for enlightenment. He sought out the greatest spiritual teachers of his time, practiced severe austerities, and meditated with an intensity few could match. But the answers he sought remained elusive. It was under the Bodhi tree, in deep meditation, that Siddhartha finally found what he was seeking. After days of profound introspection, he awakened to the truth of existence. He realized that suffering is an inherent part of life, but it can be transcended, not through divine intervention, but through understanding the nature of the mind and the impermanence of all things. This realization became the foundation of Buddhism. Siddhartha, now the Buddha, or the Awakened One, taught that liberation from suffering lies in the Four Noble Truths: recognizing the reality of suffering, understanding its cause, realizing that it can be overcome, and following the Eightfold Path, a guide to ethical living, mental discipline, and wisdom. But where does the concept of a god fit into this? For Buddhists, the focus is not on an omnipotent creator or a divine being who controls the universe. Instead, Buddhism teaches that the universe operates according to natural laws, such as karma, the law of cause and effect. Every action, thought, and word we produce has consequences, not because of divine judgment, but because of the natural order of the cosmos. In Buddhism, the divine is not a separate entity to be worshipped, but a state of being to be realized. The Buddha himself rejected the idea of divine intervention, emphasizing that each individual has the power to attain enlightenment through their own efforts. This is the essence of self-reliance in Buddhism. Each person is responsible for their own path, their own liberation. The Buddha's teachings spread far and wide, yet he never claimed to be a god, nor did he encourage his followers to worship him as one. Instead, he offered a practical guide to living a life free from suffering. The Buddha's focus was always on wisdom and compassion, not on divine worship. Today, Buddhists around the world continue to follow this path, not by praying to a god, but by cultivating mindfulness, ethical conduct, and wisdom. They engage in practices that help them understand the true nature of reality, the mind, and the impermanence of all things. This approach empowers individuals to seek enlightenment, not as a gift from a deity, but as a personal achievement that comes from within. But does this mean that Buddhism is devoid of spirituality? Far from it. The spirituality in Buddhism is found in the deep inner journey that each practitioner undertakes. It is in the cultivation of compassion, the understanding of interdependence, and the realization that all beings are connected. This spirituality is not about external worship, but about internal transformation. For many, the idea of not worshiping a god might seem foreign, even unsettling. But in Buddhism, This is seen as a path to true freedom. Freedom from the cycle of craving, attachment, and suffering. It's a path that encourages individuals to look inward, to take responsibility for their own lives, and to find the divine potential within themselves. So why don't Buddhists follow a god? Because in Buddhism, the journey is not about seeking favor from a higher power, but about discovering the power that lies within each of us. It's about realizing that the path to enlightenment is not outside of us, but within our own hearts and minds. In the end, the question isn't why Buddhists don't follow a god, but how they find the divine in the everyday moments of life, in mindfulness, in compassion, in understanding. This is the true essence of the Buddhist path,